Hi everyone, Sherry Miller here today on day 8, and today I'm going to be talking more about my HEART acronym that I started yesterday. So if you didn't see that and you're interested, you'll just have to watch it. Anyway, this is how the HEART acronym is the state of being of how a teacher needs to show up in order to get growth in their students. So it's not a step-by-step process. It's just, I think, the 5 components of the state of being of someone who can show up regularly and know that they can get growth out of their students. So we did H and E yesterday. The H was to hear the voice of your heart, and E was engage the flow of energy. So today is A and R, and A is find your anchor. The anchor, in order to engage the flow of energy with your students. So remember, growth always involves stress. They have to be taken to an edge in order to grow. So we, as the teacher, have to be able to stand firmly. We are the precipice from which the student learns to fly. We're the solid ground underneath their feet. We're how they ground when they're in their stress point. So we need our own anchor, because stress in someone else always by design elicits stress in us. And that's for a reason in nature, right? That's how you can, a herd of animals can instantly all flee, because once one detects a threat, that energy is instantly spread to everyone, and they can respond, right? And we're an animal too. We still have that in us. So it's good to be able to respond instantly without thinking about it to threats that cause stress. But in this case, we're intentionally eliciting stress so that we can get growth. And so we don't want to respond in that natural way. We don't want to hinder it. You never want to hinder the natural thing, but you want to then channel it and convert it into something that's more productive for our purposes. So in order to do that, you need anchoring. And of course, I mean this in the emotional way. You need to be emotionally anchored. How far am I going to go with this? But there's a physical component to that too. And there's really no difference ultimately between your emotional and your physical center. Wow, you're either going to think I'm crazy or really pique your interest. But the reason that we move at all ever, do you ever think about why do you move? Why did I pick up that glass? Why did I take a step? What made that happen? And it's because your emotional center was placed outside of you into something else, something that you wanted. In this case, we're talking about something that you wanted. And how our system works energetically is that wherever the emotional center is, the physical center is trying to be. So it will then go. If I desire some flowers for a vase, these aren't real, but then my physical center will be placed where they are so I can get them. That's just a little taste of it. There's more to it than that. But anyway, so you need your anchor emotionally, so you're also physically anchored. They're going to be one and the same. To be that precipice for your student. And I'm just trying to decide, this is a big topic and it's hard. I was committed to just talking for just a few minutes, so what do you say? It's good practice. Okay, I'm just going to talk about kinds of things you can use for anchoring, and not the process of anchoring and what's happening in your emotions and your physical stuff, I just don't think I can go there right now in just a couple of minutes. But to give you a little something you can use, because I like to be helpful, for anchoring, I used to do an exercise called 3 words and a smile in my workshops. And, the smile was the physical component of words that elicited an emotion in you for your own anchoring, not for your students, because when you're anchored, they will anchor to you. And it can be really, really effective, but I also found people that would get mixed up in their words, and they would give words one meaning one time and then a different meaning in a different context, and it got kind of messy. So now I'm really leaning towards the anchor being just a feeling in your body. So finding that really grounded feeling. Hi, Aliki. Did I say your name right? I hope I said it right. I'm sorry. Anyway, hi, nice to see you. But finding that grounded feeling in your body, not a feeling of protective strength, like nothing can get me, but that feeling of suppleness, like, whoa, people could do anything, and I'm here, I can take it, right? And so you need to do some work. I'm going to leave it at that because this will get too long, but you need to do some work to get really familiar with that feeling. And once you really have that feeling and you know how to get into it, and it may be physical, it may be bending your knees or your hips or a little bounce or something to remind you, to get you back in that state. But that's your anchor. You need your anchor. And the R is to redirect your efforts to suppleness. Now, I'm not using the R. I'm not saying redirect just so I can make use of the R to make the acronym work. The redirect is really super important because we are constantly, just in ourselves, and then in addition as teachers, we're constantly trying to go into the head and make them understand it in their head and go to the head and go to the head. And so this redirecting to suppleness is a constant process that happens even in the very best people. It's a constant process to go out of the head and back into the body, out of the head and back into that body. You're constantly redirecting because there's going to be this constant temptation to go back to the head. So redirect the efforts into suppleness. And something that I have found really interesting in myself, in my workshops, and in the really masterful teachers that I see, especially, you can see it especially in, of course, horses, dogs, dance, but physical things. Same thing happens in non-physical things, but this is where you see it the most, is that we can do all this stuff with positive thinking and with the mind and trying to get the mind right, get the mind right, and get the mind right. But, I don't discount the importance of that at all. It's very important. But here's the thing. When you can get somebody supple, their mind stops freaking out. So our mind freaks out when we're in a place where we lose balance or where we're able to easily lose balance. It's like, you can do what you want as long as you're stable, but if you're going to lose your freaking balance, I got to take over and do something, right? So they play off each other. It's not a first and a second. I mean, it's a feedback loop. So you can jump in at any point and make a change, but when you can make the change physically and get them supple, it takes care of the mind problems. And so when you're working with animals, you really see that because you can explain all you want. They don't really care, right? They're like, shut up, let's do something. So it really gets you focused on when you work specifically towards the suppleness, everything else takes care of itself. It's very, very fascinating. And this works equally well for humans. So that is the A and the R. And I will cover the T tomorrow. Thank you.